My name is Nelson McKinney. I came from Nashville, Tennessee. I live in Spring Hill now. I'm married to my wife, Rachel McKinney. We have 4 beautiful kids. We just had a little girl a month ago. My early experience with knowing Jesus and learning who Jesus was through family, church. I went to a Christian school as a kid. I knew all the facts. I was taught about the Bible. But ultimately, I ended up thinking of God as somebody standing over me, watching him, waiting on me to mess up. I ran from that. I rebelled from that. And I strayed very far. I lost a friend at 18 in a botched drug deal. He was shot and killed. And the worst part about that is I was the driver, the transportation for the drug deal to happen. That was enough for me to throw my life away. I didn't need to live. I had nothing to lose. And when you're that young, you feel indestructible anyways. It was the perfect combination for a detonation of toxicity in my life. I started running with the wrong crowd. People were stealing cars that I was with. I caught 2 felonies within 6 months, and I really didn't care about living. Everything just kind of started crashing down. When I was 20 years old, this girl that I'd been seeing for a while says, "Hey, I'm pregnant. It's your child, I know it." So that's when the flip happened. The first thing God gave me was purpose. And I'll never forget, I was devastated. This woman had just told me she was about to have my child, man. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm scared to death. And I looked up at the sky and I said, "God, is this what I'm supposed to do?" And I felt like he said, yeah. So I jumped in. As my son grew and progressed and got older, he turned 7, 8 years old. He got real sick when he was 7. His immune system attacked his body. And I'm gonna tell you, if you've never seen a kid sick, and you can't do anything but trust the people who are there, and trust God to handle that. You don't have any other option. And that was another place God had me. So once again, another shift. And then God went to work. My life, I could have wrote it 100 million times and it could have been great, but it would not be what God made it. Because I've been at that hopeless place where you don't see a way out. And God just comes and just grabs you up and holds you close and says, "I love you." My son, he had something called HSP. It's a long German word that I can't pronounce. He was supposed to have a colostomy bag. He was supposed to have a catheter and a feeding tube, none of which he had. They cut out 6 inches of his small intestine and he was healed. 3 years later, his mom, we split up. She left. I went to fight for at least some kind of custody of my child. And I found out he wasn't mine. It didn't matter. It didn't change anything. It hurt. It certainly hurt. But this is another way that God showed me that I was adopted in. He said that blood doesn't matter to you, just like it doesn't matter to me. He shed his blood for us, and we were grafted into his promise. So there's an awakening of how God sees me and how I'm identified as his child. Not how I identify, but how he identifies me. And that's what I'm wrapping my head around right now, is that Jesus loves me the way he does unconditionally. And I certainly believe that even the resurrection journey, along with the reconciliation journey, along with any kind of journey that you go on with Jesus, is gonna be a constant walk. You're gonna fall. You're gonna trip. I still have to deal with disappointments. I carry a lot of things inside that God hasn't released me from yet. I expect there to be some things that I still have to depend on him for. He didn't take the thorn out of Paul's side. I don't expect him to take whatever thorns that are still in my life out. But that's part of it. You have to trust God, and you have to trust that he's fulfilling his purpose in your life. So my life is full of resurrection stories. Resurrection is constant and it happens all the time if you're a Christ follower. Things may die and things may pass, but God also resurrects and he brings things back together if he wants them together, if they serve his purpose.